Most men think getting her into bed takes weeks. The truth? It can happen in hours if you know how to flip the right switches in her mind. Think about it. You've met a woman you're wildly attracted to. The chemistry is there. The looks, the subtle touches, the playful words, they're all pointing in the right direction. But when it comes to moving things forward, you stall, you overthink, you worry about scaring her off. And before you know it, the window closes. She goes home, and so does the moment. This happens to countless men, not because she wasn't interested, but because they didn't understand the silent signals, the subconscious triggers, and the emotional atmosphere that make a woman open to intimacy quickly. Women don't respond to pushiness, but they do respond powerfully to a man who knows how to create the perfect mix of emotional safety and raw attraction. That's what today's video is all about. I'm going to walk you through the psychological principles that can make her feel so drawn to you, so connected to you, that sleeping together on the same day feels completely natural to her. We're not talking about manipulation, we're talking about understanding her desires better than she does and knowing how to lead her into a space where she wants to cross that line with you. If you're ready to unlock that kind of power, stay right where you are. Let's get into it. Number 1. Create instant emotional safety. If you want a woman to feel comfortable enough to take things further with you, whether that's opening up emotionally or becoming physically intimate, you need to understand this one truth. Before her body says yes, her mind and emotions have to feel safe. And when I say safe, I'm not talking about the absence of danger. I'm talking about the presence of trust, the kind of atmosphere where she knows you're in control, but not controlling her. Where she feels you see her as more than just a body, but as a woman complex, emotional, and worth understanding. Take Michael, 29, from Austin. He met Emily, 27, at a friend's rooftop party. The attraction was instant, but instead of rushing in with flirty lines or physical escalation, he slowed it down. He asked her about the band playing, really listened to her answer, and responded in a way that made her feel heard. That small act shifted something in her. She leaned closer. Her guard dropped. Why? Because he wasn't just trying to win her, he was letting her feel safe being herself. This is where most men mess up. They think creating attraction is all about witty lines, dominant body language, and sexual tension. Yes, those matter, but they only work when paired with a deep sense of comfort. Without that, your advances feel pushy. With it, your advances feel natural. Here's the key. Safety doesn't kill desire, it fuels it. Think about it. When a woman feels like she can trust you, she's far more likely to let her sensual side emerge. And that's exactly where you want to be. One way to create this instant emotional safety is through calibrated attention. Don't stare at her like you're starving for her, and don't be so aloof she feels you're not interested. Find that middle ground where you're present, engaged, and making her feel chosen without being overbearing. The Stoics would call this balance the ability to remain composed in your own emotions while deeply aware of another's comfort. Another critical part? Non-judgmental curiosity. If she shares something personal, don't turn it into a test or a debate. Accept it, explore it, and show her you're genuinely interested in her world. In psychology, this is known as validation, and it's one of the fastest ways to lower her defenses. Let's go back to Michael and Emily. Later that evening, she mentioned she had just come out of a messy breakup. Instead of prying for details or making jokes, Michael simply said, "That must have been a lot to go through. I hope you're taking care of yourself." That one sentence told her more about him than any pickup line ever could. It told her he had emotional intelligence, empathy, and restraint. And here's where the magic happens once safety is established. Sexual tension actually builds faster. She starts imagining what it would feel like to be with you, because she knows you won't use that moment to judge or hurt her. You're the man who can hold space for her emotions and lead her into an experience she'll remember. The fastest way to kill that? being in a rush. The moment she feels like you're trying to speed run the interaction, she'll pull back. Remember, her mind has to arrive before her body will. So how do you know you've created that emotional safety? Look for the signs. Her voice softens, she holds eye contact longer, her body angles toward you, and she starts sharing more than surface-level details. These aren't just signs she's comfortable. They're signs she's opening the door for you to move closer. The men who understand this principle never have to force intimacy. It happens naturally because they've laid the foundation. They don't just seduce her body, they seduce her nervous system into feeling calm, connected, and curious about what's next. In other words, when you create instant emotional safety, you don't just get her attention, you get her trust. And once you have her trust, you're already halfway to having her desire. Number 2. Let presence speak louder than words. There's a moment in almost every deep interaction where words become secondary, where the silence between you and her feels charged, where your energy fills the space without needing to be spoken. Most men panic in that space. They feel the urge to fill it, to talk more, to perform. But the man who understands female psychology knows that's the moment to lean into your presence. Women are highly attuned to the feeling you bring into a room. Your posture, your breathing, your eye contact, these speak volumes before you've said a single thing. When you master your presence, you create an aura that's not just attractive, but magnetic. You don't have to tell her you're confident, she feels it. This is exactly what the Stoics understood about influence. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "Waste no more time arguing what a good man should be. Be one." In the same way, waste no more time telling her what kind of man you are. Show her, in the way you occupy your space, in the way you meet her gaze without flinching, in the calm steadiness of your movements. Here's why this works on a psychological level. Women associate a man's ability to be fully present with his ability to handle pressure, protect, and lead. If you can stay grounded and unshaken in the heat of an intimate moment, you're signaling to her subconscious that you can handle her. Not just her beauty, but her emotions, her moods, her unpredictability. But presence isn't about standing still like a statue, it's about being attuned. You notice the way she adjusts her hair, the slight change in her breathing when you step closer, the way her eyes hold yours a fraction longer. These cues aren't just nice to notice, they're the conversation beneath the conversation. Respond to them not with a flood of words, but with subtle adjustments in your body language. For example, if she leans in slightly, don't rush to speak, just lean in a little too. If her eyes drop to your lips, don't immediately try to kiss her, hold the space for another heartbeat, let the tension simmer. That pause is where the spark turns into a flame. This is where so many men fail. They get nervous in silence and overcompensate by talking too much. But the truth is, silence is often the most seductive sound in the room. When you can stand in that quiet moment, completely at ease, you're telling her without words, "I'm not here to impress you. I'm here to connect with you." The Stoics would call this the art of self-command. You're not letting external pressure dictate your behavior. You're not trying to get her approval, you're letting her step into your frame. And because humans crave certainty, your grounded presence becomes a safe harbor she wants to stay in. Now, here's the beauty of this. When your presence speaks louder than your words, you actually say more than any clever line could. You're communicating strength without arrogance, desire without desperation, leadership without control. That's a rare combination, and it's why women will often describe men with this quality as having something I can't quite put my finger on. The best part? Presence can't be faked. You can't pretend to be grounded while your mind is racing. She'll feel the dissonance instantly. That's why mastering presence is less about learning a technique and more about training yourself to be comfortable in your own skin, to breathe deeply, to slow down, to let your gaze, your posture, your energy do the talking. So next time you're with her, Remember, the way you fill the space between words matters more than the words themselves. Don't rush to fill silence, let it work for you. Because in that quiet, in that steady gaze, in that unshaken posture, she'll feel something primal, that you are a man who knows himself. And a man who knows himself is the kind of man she can't help but be drawn to. Number 3, own your desire without pressure. There's a fine line between expressing attraction and making a woman feel cornered. Cross it, and you'll see her walls shoot up instantly. Stay on the right side of it, though, and you unlock a part of her psychology that makes her want to move toward you instead of pulling away. Owning your desire means you don't hide it. You're not playing the fake friend role, hoping she magically figures it out one day. You let her see that you're attracted to her, but you do it in a way that never makes her feel trapped, obligated, or rushed. Let's put this into a real-life scenario. Imagine Ryan, a 31-year-old graphic designer from Austin. He's at a small rooftop gathering with friends, and he meets Emily, 28, who has this playful energy that immediately grabs his attention. Instead of jumping straight into compliments or trying to win her with charm, Ryan takes a slower approach. When she makes a joke, he lets his eyes linger just a second longer than normal. When their knees touch under the table, he doesn't move away immediately, but he also doesn't push further. It's not about forcing a moment. It's about letting her feel that he's tuned into her without pressuring her for a response. This is the key. Pressure kills attraction because it removes her ability to choose. Desire thrives when it feels like a dance, not a demand. When you own your attraction but don't demand reciprocation, you create space for her to lean in at her own pace. That's when she starts chasing you. From a psychological standpoint, this works because it flips the usual dynamic. Many men give off the vibe that they're seeking approval. They want a green light before they express anything. But women are far more drawn to a man who can communicate, "I'm interested in you, and I'm okay whether you're interested back or not." That energy is rare because it's rooted in self-assurance. And this is where the Stoic mindset comes in. Epictetus said, "Freedom is the only worthy goal in life. It is won by disregarding things that lie beyond our control." In dating, her reaction is beyond your control. Your responsibility is to express yourself authentically without clinging to a specific outcome. That's what makes your presence feel safe instead of pushy. She senses that you want her, but she also knows you're not emotionally hinging on her every move. Let's go back to Ryan and Emily. After an hour of talking, she makes a comment about how the night is winding down. A less confident man might panic, thinking the window is closing. Ryan, on the other hand, smiles, holds her gaze and says, "I like the way you think, and the way you look at me when you're saying it." Then he leans back, takes a sip of his drink, and changes the subject. He lets the moment breathe. Now, instead of feeling cornered, Emily feels intrigued. She wonders if he's going to make a move or if he's content to just enjoy the conversation. That uncertainty works in his favor because it allows the tension to build naturally. Here's what's happening under the surface. By showing desire without attachment, Ryan is signaling strength, abundance, and control. He's not trying to close the deal immediately. And because of that, Emily can relax into her own attraction without feeling like she has to guard herself. Owning your desire without pressure also means being selective. When you communicate that you're attracted to her specifically, not just to any woman who gives you attention, it heightens the meaning behind your words and actions. She can feel when your interest is genuine versus when you're just fishing for validation. The mistake most men make is either swinging too far into hiding their attraction or overwhelming her with it. The sweet spot is in the middle, open, unashamed, but never needy. It's that calm, grounded energy that says, "I see you, I like you, but I'm not here to prove myself or rush you." When you master this balance, you stop chasing moments and start creating them. And those moments filled with curiosity, choice, and space are the ones that lead to the kind of connection where she feels like it was her idea all along to move closer. Number 4. Master the art of emotional escalation. Attraction doesn't work in a straight line. It's not a steady climb from polite conversation to intense connection. It's more like a wave. If you want a woman to feel pulled toward you, you have to know how to raise the emotional stakes gradually without jumping so fast that you break the rhythm. This is where the art of emotional escalation comes in. Emotional escalation is the process of taking the connection from light and safe to deeper, more charged territory. You're shifting the energy from casual friendliness into something personal, playful, and magnetic. But here's the catch: it's not about rushing to physical intimacy. It's about building a psychological landscape where desire feels inevitable. Think of it like turning the dimmer switch on a light. You don't flip it from 0 to full brightness in a second. That would be jarring. Instead, you nudge it higher in smooth increments. Start with light teasing, move into subtle touches, then deeper eye contact, then sharing something personal. Each step builds on the one before, creating an unspoken momentum. Why does this work so well? Because women respond strongly to emotional states, not just logical attraction. If she feels safe, intrigued, and excited in your presence, she'll associate those feelings with you. The more she feels, the more she invests, and the more she invests, the more she wants the next step to happen. From a Stoic perspective, Marcus Aurelius once said, "The happiness of your life depends upon the quality of your thoughts." In dating, this means being intentional with the emotional tone you create. You're not just reacting to the moment, you're guiding it. You're deliberately crafting an atmosphere that moves the interaction forward while keeping her comfortable. One way to do this is by blending contrasts. Humans are drawn to emotional variety. If every moment with you feels the same, even if it's pleasant, it risks becoming predictable, and predictable rarely fuels desire. Instead, mix playfulness with sincerity. Laugh with her, then drop your voice and look her in the eyes with seriousness. Share a funny observation, then ask a question that makes her think. This back and forth creates an addictive energy because it keeps her emotionally engaged. Physical cues can be part of emotional escalation, but they should feel like a natural extension of the vibe you've built, not forced attempts at seduction. For example, if you've just shared a moment of genuine laughter, lightly touching her arm as the laughter fades feels natural. If you've been holding steady eye contact during a deeper conversation, letting the silence linger for a beat longer than normal increases the intensity without saying a word. Another subtle but powerful tool is pacing. Instead of matching her energy perfectly at all times, sometimes pull back. If you've been leaning in during conversation, lean back slightly and let her re-engage. If you've been carrying most of the conversation, pause and let her fill the space. This slight ebb and flow mirrors the wave-like nature of attraction and makes each high point feel more impactful. It's important to note that escalation is not a one-size-fits-all formula. It's a dance. You have to be tuned into her responses. If she's leaning in, holding eye contact, and matching your playfulness, you can turn the dial up. If she seems distracted or distant, you ease back, let the moment breathe, and then re-engage. The skill comes from reading these cues in real time and adjusting without breaking the flow. The beauty of mastering emotional escalation is that it allows desire to grow in a way that feels mutual rather than one-sided. She's not being convinced or talked into anything, she's actively participating in the rise of tension. And because you're pacing it correctly, each moment feels like it's unfolding naturally, even though you're subtly guiding the pace. The Stoics remind us that control is not about forcing outcomes, it's about directing what's within our power. Your power lies in your presence, your pacing, and your ability to shape the emotional tone. When you use those tools deliberately, you don't have to push for intimacy. It becomes the logical next step in a connection that feels alive. Mastering the art of emotional escalation isn't about manipulating, it's about understanding how attraction builds and being the one who knows how to keep the flame burning hotter with each interaction. Get this right, and you'll find that she's not just open to moving forward, she's waiting for you to lead her there. Number 5. Inspire her to break her own rules. Every woman has her rules. Maybe she doesn't kiss on the first date. Maybe she never goes home with a guy she just met. Maybe she swears she'll take it slow no matter what. And if you've ever heard a woman say, "I don't normally do this," you know exactly what's happening. She's about to break her own rule. But here's the important thing. You can't force her to break those rules. You can only create the kind of emotional and physical chemistry that makes her want to bend them herself. This isn't about pressure. It's about inspiration. Let's look at a real-world scenario. Imagine Jake, 29, meeting Emily, 27, at a friend's rooftop party in downtown Chicago. Emily's told herself for years that she won't kiss anyone. She meets at a party too casual, too risky. But over the course of the night, Jake doesn't chase her. He doesn't push for more. Instead, he listens intently when she speaks, makes her laugh with quick, sharp humor, and moves with quiet confidence through the social setting. He's not begging for her attention, he's giving her a taste of something magnetic and rare. By the time they're standing on the balcony with the city lights behind them, Emily's leaning in closer, laughing softer, and without realizing it, crossing her own invisible line. It's not because Jake talked her into it. It's because he made her feel something her rules didn't account for. From a psychological standpoint, women's rules are often self-protection mechanisms. They're designed to filter out guys who don't make the cut. But when a man presents himself as an exception, not through bragging or manipulation, but through authenticity and emotional connection, those rules start to bend. Here's where the Stoic mindset is useful. Epictetus famously said, "Don't explain your philosophy, embody it." If you want a woman to see you as an exception, you can't just tell her you're different. You have to be different consistently. That means you respect her boundaries without shrinking away from your own desire. You make her feel safe without making the interaction dull. You challenge her in ways that are playful, not confrontational. One key tactic is introducing a sense of unpredictability. If she can predict every move you're going to make, her rules remain intact because she feels in total control. But when you keep her guessing, switching from playful banter to deeper, more vulnerable conversation, she starts to feel drawn in on a level she didn't prepare for. That's when her rules stop feeling as relevant as the moment unfolding right in front of her. For example, let's go back to Jake and Emily. At one point in the night, Emily teases Jake about his taste in music. Instead of defending himself, Jake smiles, tilts his head, and asks, "And what would you play right now if you had the power?" That one question flips the frame suddenly. She's imagining herself in control, imagining the vibe, picturing the two of them in that imagined setting. It's subtle, but it draws her further into their shared world. Another piece of the puzzle is letting her feel like the decision to break her rule is hers. That's where many guys mess up. They try to close the deal before the emotional groundwork is set. When you rush, it feels like persuasion. When you pace it right, it feels like temptation she's creating herself. The latter is infinitely more powerful. Here's the truth: if she's breaking her own rules, it's because you've made the moment feel more important than the rule. You've sparked a connection so strong that her self-imposed limitations fade into the background. And because she's the one crossing the line, she owns the choice. That ownership is what makes the experience feel thrilling rather than regrettable. The lesson here is simple. Don't fight her rules. Don't try to dismantle them head on. Instead, make yourself so engaging, so present, and so confident that she starts to wonder why she made those rules in the first place. You don't argue for the exception, you become it. When you master this, you'll see the shift happen in real time. That smile that lingers too long, that lean in when she could have stepped back, that playful touch on your arm when she's just making a point. These aren't random. These are her subconscious signals that her rules are already bending, and all you had to do was create the spark. Now I want to hear from you. Have you ever been the exception to a woman's rule? Drop it in the comments with this phrase, "I am the exception, I'll." And stick around, because what we're about to dive into next is the kind of psychological trigger most men completely overlook, yet it can flip the entire dynamic in your favor without you even touching her. You won't want to miss it. Number 6. Touch her mind before her body. If you want to create an irresistible connection, you need to understand one thing. Her mind is the real gateway to her desire. Before a woman opens up physically, she must first feel a spark mentally and emotionally. And here's where most guys blow it. They skip the mind and go straight for the body. The problem is, when you bypass her mind, you're not building desire, you're just asking for permission. Touching her mind isn't about being overly intellectual or reciting poetry. It's about stimulating her thoughts, her curiosity, her imagination. You create a space where she feels seen not just as a woman, but as a whole person. You make her feel safe enough to be open, yet intrigued enough to keep leaning in. Think about it when you're talking to her. Are you just exchanging surface-level information, or are you guiding the conversation into places where she actually feels something? Desire isn't born from facts, it's born from emotions. And those emotions come alive when you connect to her deeper world. This is where the Stoics give us a surprising advantage. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "The soul becomes dyed with the color of its thoughts." If you can influence the color of her thoughts, make them brighter, warmer, more vivid, you are, in a very real sense, shaping how she experiences you. If her inner world starts to associate you with feelings of curiosity, safety, and excitement, physical attraction becomes the natural next step. Here's how you do it. First, be present in the conversation, not distracted, not checking your phone, not scanning the room. Presence is rare, and women notice when you're fully there. Second, ask questions that invite her to reveal more than the average "where are you from" kind of talk. For example, instead of "what do you do for fun," you could say, "what's something you've always wanted to try but haven't yet?" That question taps into her desires, her dreams, and her hidden side. Once she starts opening up, reflect her emotions back to her, not by parroting her words, but by showing you understand how she feels. If she talks about a challenge she overcame, acknowledge her strength without turning it into a compliment that's just about her looks. If she shares something funny, let yourself genuinely laugh with her, not at her. The key here is that when you connect to her mind, you're showing her that you value her inner world. This is the opposite of the typical guy who tries to rush to physical contact. When you take your time, when you allow the tension to build through mental engagement, you're actually making the eventual physical connection far more powerful. This also builds trust. A woman who feels mentally and emotionally safe with you is far more likely to let her guard down physically. And when she does, it won't feel like a transaction, it will feel like a natural, inevitable step in a connection that has already been growing. The beauty of touching her mind first is that you also make yourself memorable. Any man can try to flirt with her body. Very few men can stimulate her thoughts in a way that lingers after the conversation ends. If you become the man she's still thinking about hours later, not because of what you did physically, but because of how you made her feel mentally, you're already ahead of 99% of guys. Remember, her mind is the ignition switch, her body is the engine. If you turn the key in the right way, the rest will take care of itself. And you'll find that when she does open up physically, it's not hesitant or uncertain, it's eager, because the connection has already been made where it matters most. Now, I want to hear from you. Have you ever felt a connection so strong it started in the mind? Drop it in the comments with this phrase, "I lead with depth." And don't go anywhere, because next, we're going to explore a move so subtle and powerful it can shift the entire energy between you without a single word, and most men never even realize they're missing it. Number 7. Keep her guessing, keep her wanting. If there's one thing that turns desire into obsession, it's unpredictability. When a woman feels like she's figured you out completely, the excitement starts to fade. But when you keep her guessing, not by playing games, but by being a man of depth and layers, you become someone she can't stop thinking about. Let's make this clear. Keeping her guessing is not about being manipulative or intentionally confusing. It's about avoiding the trap of being too predictable, too available, or too easy to read. Desire thrives in the unknown, in those little moments when she wonders, what's he thinking? Or what will he do next? Take Ryan, 31, and Emily, 29. They met at a mutual friend's party, and from the start, there was chemistry. But instead of laying all his cards on the table right away, Ryan shared just enough to intrigue her stories about his travels, hints about his passions, but always leaving certain details out. Not in a suspicious way, but in a way that made Emily curious. The next time they met, she asked questions to fill in those gaps. That curiosity kept the energy alive and made her invest in discovering more about him. One of the simplest ways to keep her guessing is to mix up your rhythm. If you always text her first thing in the morning, sometimes wait until later in the day. If you usually meet for dinner, suggest something totally different, like a sunrise hike or visiting a quirky art exhibit. Small changes in routine send a subtle message. You're a man with his own flow, not someone who's constantly orbiting around her. Another powerful angle is to show multiple sides of yourself. Maybe she sees you being playful and teasing one moment, then genuinely attentive and deep the next. This contrast keeps her engaged because it mirrors real human complexity. No one is one-dimensional, and when you reveal your layers slowly over time, she realizes there's more to you than she initially thought. From a psychological perspective, this taps into something called the Zeigarnik effect, our brain's tendency to remember and fixate on incomplete information. If you leave a conversation at a high point or stop telling a story just before the climax, you create an open loop in her mind. She'll be replaying that moment and wondering what comes next, and that mental replay builds desire without you having to push. Here's the thing. When you keep her guessing, you also avoid becoming her emotional wallpaper, the thing she's so used to that she barely notices anymore. You stay in the category of someone to pay attention to, because your presence always carries a spark of surprise. Ryan understood this well. One weekend he invited Emily to a concert, but when they arrived, instead of heading to their seats, he led her backstage. Turns out, he knew one of the band members. That twist in the night wasn't about showing off, it was about creating a moment she didn't expect. It's those unexpected experiences that deepen the connection and keep the attraction alive. Just remember, the goal isn't to be mysterious for the sake of mystery. It's to be genuinely interesting because you're living a full life, pursuing your passions and sharing parts of that world with her at a pace that keeps her leaning in. When you do this right, she's not just attracted to you, she's invested in the story you're writing together. And that investment is what makes her want to be part of the next chapter. Now it's your turn. Have you ever been in a situation where a little mystery kept the spark alive? Drop it in the comments with this phrase, "I am the intrigue." And stick around, because next, we'll break down a move that doesn't require words, touch, or even proximity yet. It can make her think about you long after you've left the room. Number 8. Unlock the power of masculine calm. In a world full of noise, distraction, and constant emotional reactions, there's one quality that stands out above all others when it comes to igniting deep attraction: calmness. Not the forced, fake kind where you're pretending not to care, but the steady, grounded, unshakable energy that makes her feel like nothing can rattle you. Masculine calm is magnetic because it's rare. Most men crumble under pressure, voices get louder, breathing gets faster. they talk too much, or they scramble to fill the silence. But when you embody calm, you signal something powerful. I am in control of myself, no matter what's happening around me. This is where Stoic philosophy gives us a timeless blueprint. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." That strength is exactly what women respond to at a primal level. When she feels your energy is steady, she feels safe, not in a boring way, but in a way that allows her to relax her guard and lean into the moment with you. Think about it. Tension can only escalate into desire when there's a stable container for it. If you're fidgeting, overthinking, or desperately trying to make something happen, you're not the container, you're just adding to the chaos. But if you're sitting there, composed, present, making eye contact without rushing, your calm becomes the space where her mind starts filling in the blanks. Masculine calm doesn't mean being passive. It means moving with intention, not haste. It means speaking slowly and deliberately, letting your words breathe. It means knowing that silence doesn't kill attraction, it feeds it, because in that quiet space, her mind is busy imagining what you're thinking and what you might do next. The beauty of this state is that it naturally flips the dynamic. Instead of chasing her emotional energy, you anchor yourself so she starts matching yours. People mirror the emotional tone in front of them, and if your tone is grounded, she's far more likely to soften, open up, and feel drawn into your presence. And here's the subtle twist: calmness also makes your desire more potent. When you can express interest without letting it tip into neediness, it sends a subconscious signal. I want you, but I don't need you. That balance between interest and independence is intoxicating. Practical ways to cultivate this? Start with your breathing. Slow, deep breaths from the diaphragm instantly signal to your nervous system that you're safe. Keep your shoulders relaxed, your gaze steady, and your voice low, not whispering, but resonant. In conversation, resist the urge to over-explain or fill every gap. Let her words land, pause, and then respond as if you've got all the time in the world. In the Stoic sense, you're becoming the immovable center, the eye of the storm. Chaos might swirl around you, but you're not reacting to every gust of wind. That's the kind of presence that draws her in without you having to perform or constantly seek validation. And remember, masculine calm isn't about hiding your emotions. It's about mastering them. It's not about being cold or detached. It's about being so comfortable in your own skin that nothing pulls you off balance. That kind of steadiness is rare, and rare is always valuable. When you walk into a room with this energy, people notice before you even speak. And when you're with her, she'll feel that calm, not just as a personality trait, but as a deep, almost primal invitation to step closer. Now, I want to hear from you. How do you keep your cool when the pressure is on? Drop it in the comments with the phrase, "I am unshakable." And don't go anywhere, because next, we're going to uncover a counterintuitive move that shifts the dynamic so powerfully, it often flips the seduction in your favor without you even touching her. Number 9. Make every moment feel like escape. There's a certain magic that happens when being with you feels like stepping out of the ordinary world. It's not about expensive trips or elaborate plans. It's about creating an atmosphere where time seems to slow down, the noise of life fades away, and she feels fully present with you. This is the art of making every moment feel like an escape. And here's the truth: most men never even try to do this. They take women into environments that feel exactly like her everyday life. Same conversations, same distractions, same emotional tone. But if you can be the one who shifts her state the moment she's around you, she'll start craving that feeling and craving you. Take Ryan, 32, and Emily, 29. Emily works a stressful corporate job. Her days are packed with deadlines, meetings, and constant notifications. When she meets Ryan after work, instead of launching into small talk about their day, He takes her to a quiet rooftop cafe with soft lighting and a view of the city. He leaves his phone in his pocket, gives her his full attention, and listens like her words are the only ones that matter. It's not flashy, but for Emily, it's a complete shift from the chaos she came from. Being with Ryan becomes her mental vacation. Creating this feeling starts with intentional presence. If you're distracted, rushing, or scattered, she'll feel it, and the escape will collapse. Your role here is to lead the energy into a slower, richer rhythm. That might mean walking at a relaxed pace instead of hurrying down the street, or asking deep, playful questions that pull her into a different emotional space. It's also about contrast. If her daily life is structured and predictable, you bring spontaneity. If her life is loud and busy, you bring calm and intimacy. You become the opposite of her stress. The goal isn't to be a break from her life, it's to be the highlight of it. When she associates you with this emotional escape, she's not just attracted to you physically, she's addicted to the way she feels when you're together. And that's a far deeper connection than charm or looks alone can create. Now I want to hear from you. What's your go-to move for creating that different world vibe when you're with someone? Drop it below with the phrase, "I create magic." And stay with me, because up next, we'll dive into a final shift that takes everything we've talked about and locks it into her memory so powerfully. She won't just want you, she'll remember you as the man she never quite got over. Number 10. Become the man she can't forget. Long after the moment has passed, after the lights have dimmed and the world has gone back to its routine, some men linger in a woman's mind like an echo she can't shake. This isn't about being the most handsome, the richest, or the smoothest talker. It's about creating an emotional fingerprint that's impossible to replace. The men she can't forget have one thing in common. They made her feel something she doesn't feel with anyone else. It might be the way you looked into her eyes like you were seeing more than just her face. It might be the way you carried yourself calm, grounded, completely sure of who you are. Or maybe it's the way you made her laugh until her guard dropped and her soul came out to play. To become unforgettable, you have to combine depth with unpredictability. Depth gives her the sense that there's more to discover in you. Unpredictability keeps her intrigued enough to keep looking. If she can figure you out in one night, she'll file you away in her mind and move on. But if there's always one more layer, one more mystery, one more unexpected moment of connection, you'll take root in her memory. This also means avoiding the trap of overexposure. If you're constantly in her space, texting her every hour, or making yourself too available, the magic fades. Instead, you leave her with moments so charged they replay in her head when you're not around. The way you touched her hand deliberately and then pulled away. The pause before you said something vulnerable. The subtle way you exited the night while the energy was still high, leaving her wanting more. It's the paradox of being both present and elusive. When you're with her, you're fully there, no distractions, no half-hearted attention. When you're gone living your own life, pursuing your own goals. That contrast creates a gravitational pull she can't resist. At its core, becoming unforgettable isn't about trying to impress her. It's about showing up as a man who knows his worth, offers genuine connection, and leaves space for her to miss him. When she feels that rare blend of emotional intensity and mystery, you won't just be another chapter in her story, you'll be the part she keeps rereading. If this video sparked something in you, don't forget to subscribe to the channel. That way, you never miss the mindset shifts that can quietly change everything. Inside, we don't chase, we lead, and we grow together. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you tomorrow.